It was Prime Minister's questions today, and as expected, Keir Starmer faced intense scrutiny over the ongoing failures of his government. Week after week, Starmer finds himself under fire, and today was no exception. In this video, we'll break down the most explosive moments from PMQs, where Starmer was caught misleading Parliament once again. But that's not all. We'll also dive into the latest headlines from across the country, covering the issues that matter most to you. So, without further ado, watch this clip and see for yourself.
Mr. Speaker, yesterday, the Prime Minister set his growth test. He said, if a policy is good for growth, the answer is yes. If it's not, the answer is no. This morning, the Chancellor embraced a series of Conservative policies. Although many are welcomed, they will take years to deliver. Mr. Speaker, when Conservatives left office, we had the fastest economic growth in the G7. But what is the government doing for growth now? It's destroying it. Let's look at the employment bill. The government's own figures say it will cost business £5 billion a year. It clearly fails the Prime Minister's growth test. Will he drop it?
Mr. Speaker, I think the proposition they left a golden inheritance was tested on the 4th of July, which is why they're standing there. But she asked what we're doing. The ONS say we've got the highest investment for 19 years. PwC, second best place to invest in the world. IMF upgrading growth, predicted fastest growing major economy in Europe. Wages up, inflation down. Mr. Speaker, there's more to do. We're reforming planning and regulation, building the new homes that we need, supporting a third runway at Heathrow. And as she admitted to the CBI in November, there's no point me just complaining about Labour, she said. It's obvious that we Conservatives lost the confidence of business. We're not taking lectures from them.
Mr. Speaker, he doesn't want to talk about the employment bill because he doesn't know about it. Last week, he misled the House. He was not on top of his own education bill, listening to...
Sorry. We can't accuse the Prime Minister of misleading the House. No. But he can't do it. I'm sure there's words that you would prefer to use.
Mr. Speaker, last week he claimed to have laid down an amendment that he had not made. He doesn't know what is going on in here or out there. Last week, I spoke to a woman running a business in Exeter. She is terrified of taking on new staff. She is struggling to keep her head above water, dreading what this government will do next. She's not alone. The Federation of Small Businesses says 92% of small employers are concerned about the employment bill. Clauses 1 through 6 make it harder for business to hire new employees, often young people looking for their first job. This isn't an employment bill, it's an unemployment bill. Given these clauses, will he drop his bill and show that he is not anti-growth?
Mr. Speaker, we believe in giving people proper dignity and protection at work. That's why we're proud of our record supporting workers. They consistently vote against any protection for working people. And her consistent refrain is that there should be less. But, Mr. Speaker, we are driving growth on behalf of working people. Good work rights are consistent with growth, and every good business knows that. And on top of the planning reform, the building the houses, supporting aviation, the Chancellor this morning spoke of the Oxford-Cambridge growth corridor, redeveloping Old Trafford, and manufacturing at East Midlands Airport. We want to grow the economy. The only policy she's got is to shrink pensions.
Mr. Speaker, all his ideas are the ones that we thought of. He needs to make sure that we deliver for growth now as well as the future. To grow our economy, we must get more people off sickness and welfare and into work. Clauses 8 and 9 of the unemployment bill take us in the opposite direction by increasing entitlements. His government itself estimates that these changes will increase business costs from £600 million to £1 billion a year in sick pay. That will mean higher prices, fewer jobs, less growth. Will he drop these measures from the bill?
No, Mr. Speaker, I think they're good for workers and good for growth. They vote the same argument they made against the minimum wage and every protection for workers. And she says they're their ideas. Well, Mr. Speaker, she says she's in support of a third runway at Heathrow. Her shadow transport secretary says that it'd be calamitous. The shadow business secretary is busy writing letters opposing airport expansion in his own backyard. Shadow chief secretary says the Oxford-Cambridge idea is flawed and he's against it. We're the coalition of builders, they're the coalition of blockers.
Mr. Speaker, he forgets his own Chancellor blocked an airport in her constituency. They are hypocrites, Mr. Speaker. Let's talk about this employment bill. Part 1 of the bill means a new employee could start a job in the morning and take their employer to a tribunal that afternoon. It is no wonder that this bill has been called an adventure playground for lawyers. This bill is terrible for business, but it is great employment for lawyers. I know the Prime Minister loves the legal profession, but he needs to stop being a lawyer and start being a leader. This is another measure in the bill that fails his growth test. Will he show some leadership and drop it?
Mr. Speaker, I understand she likes straight talking. She's talking absolute nonsense. She knows, and anybody who understands anything about the bill or any employment law will know you can't start in the morning and go to the tribunal in the afternoon. Now, Mr. Speaker, we know she's not a lawyer. She's clearly not a leader. If she keeps on like this, she is going to be the next lettuce.
Mr. Speaker, he does not know what his bill is doing. He should listen to business who are terrified of this bill. The only workers he cares about are lawyers, but it is not just lawyers benefiting from this bill. Who else benefits? It's not taxpayers. They will be paying for even more welfare. It's not young workers. They won't get their first break. It's definitely not businesses. They are being hammered with yet more burdens. Who benefits, Mr. Speaker? Who benefits? It's the trade unions. It's the trade unions. Part 4 of the unemployment bill, Part 4, they haven't read it, Part 4 of the unemployment bill is the biggest expansion of trade union powers for a generation. Exactly. Thank you. The public will have heard them cheer. Rather than deregulating for business who create growth, he's deregulating for the unions. Clause 61 alone reduces the notice period for strikes to just 1 week. Given strikes are catastrophic for growth, will he drop Part 4 of the bill?
Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, it's good for working people and it's good for the economy. And she should keep up. The CBI have welcomed our positive steps this morning. Their quotes. The Chancellor's just given a brilliant speech on the economy, fixing the mess they left and growing our economy. CBI said they celebrate their positive leadership, a clear vision to kickstart our economy. That's the difference. We're growing the economy. They left it in a complete mess.
Mr. Speaker, the arrogance of the Prime Minister is that he thinks that it's his government that creates growth. He's wrong. It is business that creates growth. Our economy is built by entrepreneurs, risk takers, and the hard graft of working people. They know that you can't tax your way to growth. You can't borrow your way to growth. You can't legislate your way to growth. Other countries are serious about freeing business from red tape. President Trump is doing it in America. Argentina is taking a chainsaw to regulations. Even the EU is not going as far as this left-wing government. This bill will put us at the bottom of the pack. Add it to the jobs tax, the family business tax. It's no wonder wealth creators are fleeing Britain in droves. The Chancellor is desperately trying to save her reputation. She knows Labour have damaged growth. This bill manifestly fails the Prime Minister's own growth test. If he won't drop the unemployment bill, what is the point of his growth test?
She's got a nerve. They broke the economy, completely destroyed it. They broke the health service, completely destroyed it. They've ruined us on prisons and everything else you can mention. They failed on every front. They're in no position to give us lectures on anything. And she says that she accepts they failed. They're changing. They've learnt absolutely nothing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
In other news, The chairman of a major UK bakery chain has strongly criticized the Labour government's planned tax increases, accusing ministers of not understanding business. Speaking in an exclusive interview, the entrepreneur painted a bleak picture of the UK economy and urged Chancellor Rachel Reeves to take inspiration from the US government's approach. The most important thing right now is to put the entire Net Zero 2050 agenda on hold. The US has already shifted course, realizing that phasing out petrochemicals too quickly is economic suicide. With our already sky-high electricity costs, trying to be a global leader in net zero will only hurt us further. Beyond energy policy, he also called for major deregulation, particularly around property development and infrastructure. Right now, building anything in this country is nearly impossible. It takes too long and costs too much. If we want to expand nuclear energy, which I fully support, the current approval process takes decades. That needs to change. Meanwhile, Chancellor Rachel Reeves' recent fiscal policies, including higher employer national insurance contributions and an increase in the national living wage, have sparked backlash from businesses. This government talks about growth, but their actions, raising job taxes and enforcing more regulations, are moving the economy in the wrong direction. Despite rising costs, the bakery chain remains committed to expansion, with plans to open 35 new locations in 2025, adding to its existing 150-plus stores across the UK. In royal news, Prince William recently skipped a high-profile international event to stay by Kate Middleton's side for her 43rd birthday. The Prince of Wales was expected to attend former US President Jimmy Carter's funeral in Washington, D.C., but instead, Prince Edward represented the royal family at the service. Royal experts have weighed in, with Richard Fitzwilliam stating, "Under normal circumstances, we would have expected William to attend, but given the personal challenges he and Kate have faced, it was understandable." Royal author Ingrid Seward also supported the decision. Kate wouldn't have let her birthday interfere, but the decision was made that Prince Edward was the right person to go. Interestingly, had William attended, he would have come face-to-face with former US President Donald Trump, a reunion that may have drawn additional media attention. But in the end, William's choice to prioritize family sends a strong message. Sometimes, even royalty puts loved ones first. What are your thoughts on today's stories? Let me know down in the comments. And that wraps up today's video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more British news and updates.